Hello, welcome to Scalemodeling, and welcome to this video all about handling small parts. And this is just stuff I've been picking up over the few years I've been modeling, and I thought I'd share them with you. And if you're a beginner, you probably learn a lot from this, I think. If you're an experienced person, you might pick up a few things you didn't know. So let's take a look at what I've got here. Now, first of all, please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. That'd be great. It's free to subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you get notified of videos as they come out. Don't forget to hit the like button, and your comments are welcome below. All right. So let's get on with what we're going to show. Okay, so when we start talking about small things in the modeling world, we usually think about photo etch. Here's some pieces of photo etch here. There's a ladder there and a couple of doors from the 1/350 scale Kitty Hawk trumpeter. So handling things like this can be very, very tricky. Now you could just go ahead and grab your tweezers and, pick them up and do what you got to do, but very high risk that you're going to have something ping off, disappear amongst your model bench and end up on the carpet, and then you'll be down there trying to find it, and it's quite a problem. Now, the alternative to using tweezers is, I think, a wax pencil. These wax pencils are just like a normal pencil. You just use a normal pencil sharpener to sharpen them as you go, and it's just a matter of, there you go, done. And you can use that to place them where you want them to go. Sticks really well. Usually when you're touching it to go into a glued position, it'll let go and you're fine. So wax pencils, great tools. Now there are alternatives to these. You can use, I've heard people use crayons. They're like a wax as well. So you could try that as well. There's also the old toothpick. Now toothpicks work as well. But one of the tricks with these is, so if you get yourself a little bit of blue tack off like this, just a tiny little piece, put that on the end of your toothpick, right? Then you've got a surface to pick up with, okay? So that's an alternative. But later on, we'll have a look at picking up plastic pieces, which the wax pencil may not work so well on, but there's a few little tricks we can do with small plastic pieces as well. So that's photo etch. Let me move on to something else. Oh, and one other tool, because we're dealing with small parts, something like these are a must. Makes life a lot easier. Get magnifying glasses, they work well. All right. Now, just while we're on the photo etch, and in blue tack in particular, I'm just going to show you another little trick for placing photo etch. So if you take your blue tack, okay, and we'll put it there like this, just move that up here, okay, and if you use that as a platform for your photo etch, and then you come along and move your piece and put it on there, say that's a piece of photo etch, and you need to attach something to that, which would be, say, this piece, for example. What you can do is use your photo etch to hold this in place, because if you just try and put that on your work mat or on another surface, it's going to slide around and make it very difficult. Whereas if you've got your wax pencil or tweezers, if you want to risk it, and you need to put that on there, it's just a matter of having it. See, you can easily just place your piece on there and you know that it's not going to move around. Makes it a lot easier for putting parts together, okay? If it has to go at a different angle, like up and down or whatever, you can just use your tweezers and do it this way as well. Being careful not to lose it. But if you needed to attach a piece like upright like that, use the blue tack as a base to hold the piece still. It makes it much easier. Another good thing with blue tack is it makes a good way of holding pieces if you need to paint. Okay, so for example, this is like a chopstick. You can buy these in cheap stores. You put your blue tack on there like that, and then you take your little piece that you want to paint like that, and there you go. And you can line up all your pieces of blue tack along there and attach all your pieces, all your ladders, whatever, and you'll have a good little solid place where they're not going to go flying off, and you can airbrush or paint them up. Another way to handle particularly plastic parts, if you don't have a wax pencil, or what you can do is you can get a toothpick. Okay, use a bit of water, touch it into the water, and that creates a bit of a surface tension, lets you pick that up and place it where it needs to go. So just another alternative. There we go. And as you can see, it sticks to it quite well. Another little tip is for holding parts that are very small that you need to paint. One alternative here is to use some CA glue. There you go. And again, using a toothpick, just touch a bit on there. What I do too is I might just clip off the end just to make a not so pointed surface. Some CA glue, put it on the part that's not going to be seen, like the connection point. Hold it there for a few seconds, and there we go. And there's a piece ready to use for to paint. You got something to hold, and it's not going to be anywhere near where you're going to paint, and it's not going to get in the way. So another little alternative way. Now, if parts are even smaller, you could do this with a piece of wire. There's a piece of copper wire there, and do the same thing, and just connect it with the wire. If you really have to get into some small 1/35 scale type stuff, or even tinier, wire is another option. But yeah, and that's obviously when you finish, it's all painted, that's going to come off and not leave any damage to your part at all. Okay, now as for applying glue to parts, and you just saw me then using this. Okay, so this is some CA glue. This is by Icky Sticky. You can buy these separate little nozzles here to help you place the glue where you want. And if you want to, they come with, you can buy flexi tip extenders for applying them into nice small spots. And then there's even micro pipettes there for really tiny little bits that you need to apply glue with. And you don't even have for liquids and glues, so really you can use it for debonders, whatever you need. Very handy for very, very tiny parts. Okay. There are alternatives too. If you want, there you can go buy yourself a syringe and use that as an applicator as well. And something I do quite often, it's just like a homemade thing, is I have a couple of pens. So these pens here, what I've done was I've taken the nibs out, and I've got a bit of wire, and I super glued that in the end there, and I use that as an applicator for my glue. So I can just touch my glue like this and then apply it to the part. And if I need to get into a smaller area, I've got a thinner wire on here to do it, to apply into smaller, tinier areas. All you do, when the glue starts to build up a little bit on the end of this, you just get yourself a lighter and just burn it off. And there you go, give it a bit of a wipe and it's ready to go again. And I can tell you, I've used this one in particular. 3 years ago I made this and it's still going. This one probably in the last year when I needed something a little bit finer. A great alternative to apply your glues, and a lot less risky than having your whole glue bottle over parts of the model where there's a risk that you could squirt out too much or apply too much. This, you got much more control of where your glue's going. Okay, so now not so much on the handling of parts, but the actual application onto parts, like the glue was. We also have micro brush applicators. Okay, these are branded by Icky Sticky. You've got different 1.2 mil, 2.5 mil. There's long ones, short ones, 2 mils. These are fantastic for either doing touch-ups with your paint, or particularly for weathering and using your weathering products. Really good for that. Very handy. So there's another option if you can get products like this. Now, along with those, there's also these disposable micro brushes. Okay, so we've got ones that are very thin, like these brush tips here, micro brush flat tip ones here. So if you just got to do little touch-ups and you don't want to get your airbrush out, or whatever, there you go. You got a little brush there. Fantastic little disposable brush, handy and quick to use. And if you're doing some really extra fine work, then grabbing the micro brush here, like this, take the plastic off the end. There we go. And again, doing that fine little detail, like little bolt heads on your engines and things like that. Again, fantastic. And you can, if you're using a water-based paint as well, you can clean them and use them more than one time as well if you need. Another way of airbrushing parts is to use tape. So you can use your masking tape, and usually I'd use something a bit bigger than this, but using a masking tape is quite simple too. You just take off a piece, to stick it down two ends, and then do it the sticky side up on something like chopstick or whatever, paddle pop sticks, whatever, and putting your pieces down on there to paint. The only problem with that I find is that if you need to paint the other side, then you need to do it a second time, turn it over and paint as well, rather than using attachment points like we showed with the toothpick or wire to hold the piece in the point where it's not going to be seen, or where the glue is going to be on the, when it goes on the model. That way you can spray the whole thing in one go. But masking tape is also a great way to, it's an alternative, so another option. Now for parts that are on the sprue, you can always paint them on the sprue like this. Just make sure that the connection point is on an area that's not going to be seen, and there's no problem with doing that. Now you can use these clips here, and they'll hold the piece while you're painting. But sometimes what I find with these, they're quite long and parts sort of moves around a bit because they are a little bit flexible. So what I've found is you can get a smaller alligator clips, which you can buy in packets. Okay, do the same thing with, but for a handle, a toothpick fits perfectly in there like that, tightly, and gives you a little bit longer handle. And you can also stick that in some foam like that to hold it while parts are drying. Okay, but yeah, it's fine to paint parts on the sprue when you know that the connection point where you have to cut them off is going to be on the underside of the piece, or where the connection point is. So there you go. Now for when you've got a bend photo etch, then having a tool like this is quite handy. You just place your part, unwind this, slide it in to where you need it to be, clamp it down. Okay, and then I use a razor blade and just carefully bend it up like that. Take it out and do your other side. And that's how you bend your parts. There's different areas, different sizes, and different slots. Quite a handy little tool to have. I actually have a photo etch video I made quite a while ago that's probably needs a bit of updating, but there's useful information that you can go and click the link. Okay. So there's just a few tips on handling small parts. I'm sure there's a lot more ideas out there, and if you have anything you want to share, please write it down in the comments below and let everybody know. I'm sure there's lots and lots of other ways of handling parts, but that's just what I've learned over the 3 years I've been modeling. So thanks all for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now. Cheers.